What is up, YouTube, and welcome to the Extra Point, episode 42. I am Hunter, along with Nick. As always, how are you doing, Nick?
Well, Hunter, I'm doing fantastic. Fucking
Fantastic.
fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing very well. I'm doing
All
very
right.
well. Welcome to episode 42. Topics for today, we will be talking about Nick Foles and
Yeah.
Gardner Minshew, or Gardner Minshew, rather. Which one you would rather have on your team, and dissecting that little debate. The second one, Derek Carr or Marcus Mariota.
Who will
Who
win
would
the
you rather
starting
have?
job?
Exactly, in Oakland. And then we're going to be talking about the power rankings. NFL came out with their latest power rankings. We're going to be talking about the top 5 and then changes that we would make to that top 5. And if we have time, John will be joining us a little later on in the show to talk about Carolina Panthers. He's a big Carolina Panther fan, and we will be talking to him and hearing his thoughts on this emotional offseason. So without further ado, let us begin with topic number 1, Nick Foles or Gardner Minshew. I know Jacksonville just is cleaning house. They're probably the worst team in the NFL. Just got rid
Well,
of Nick Foles for next to nothing. Do you agree? And do you like Gardner Minshew moving forward with the Jacksonville Jaguars?
I like Gardner Minshew over Nick Foles. Me and you have both said probably seriously 1,000 times. Nick Foles might end up being the best backup quarterback of all time,
Yep.
but he is a backup quarterback. And I know that game. I know the first game he played is when he got hurt with the collarbone. He was actually having a really good game that first game of the season last year, but he got hurt. And hey, that's part of the game. If you can't stay healthy, that's a problem. I thought Minshew did good for like a rookie that no one ever heard of. I never heard of him, by the way. I love him.
Mm.
Minshew Magic. That damn mustache is
That's it.
legendary.
That is it.
Um, he's going to be a pretty damn good quarterback, I think. We'll see. You know, the sophomore slump is for the most part a pretty real thing, with the exception of Patrick Mahomes. It pretty much gets everybody. You got Baker Mayfield, some other quarterbacks. So we'll see if he has that little slump year. But as far as who do I want starting, I mean, they could have got rid of Nick Foles and they'll be okay. I don't know who their backup is. But Minshew, I think, would have been the starter regardless. And obviously, he's cheap. He's on some fifth round pick rookie contract. So, I mean, that's the way to go.
Yeah.
But it would have been nice if he had a veteran backup, which I don't know who their backup is right now.
That's a great question. I have no clue either.
I couldn't tell.
But I mean, me and you have agreed on this topic for a while now, and we've said
Yeah.
the same things about Nick Foles. You just said he's the best backup quarterback of all time. He very well could be. I mean, and like I've said before, these general managers that think these guys can come out here and start after one
One or
solid season,
two games. Yeah. Yeah.
it it's you see what's happened. It's happened time and time again. Nick Foles, Brock Osweiler, Case Keenum,
I forgot about Brock. Yeah.
fucking damn Mike Glennon, quarterbacks like that. But in
Different team
2013,
twice.
2013 was an amazing year for Nick Foles. Just run that by you. 2,800 yards in 13 games played, 27 touchdowns and only 2 interceptions. So that is the season
Seven
that
touchdowns
everybody.
in one game. I think he tied the record, did
Yeah,
he not?
yeah, he did. So that's the season everybody was like, "Oh my God, this guy's a fucking starter." And then the
Oh,
next season, he only plays 8 games, 13 touchdowns, 10 picks. I'm pretty sure he got hurt that year, um, or they could have took him out. I can't remember. I'm not 100% sure. But anyway, yeah. So same shit happens all the time.
well, then you
Moving
fast
forward
forward to 2017, and he's,
in the
winning
playoffs,
3 or 4 playoff games and in the Super Bowl. So,
but he's a good backup quarterback. He'll come in, get the job done for a game or two, and then he needs to get taken out. And that's what he should get paid for, not this big ass $80 million deal, three
yeah,
years that Jacksonville paid him. Obviously, he's not worth that much. They started
yeah.
him 4 damn games, and then nope, sorry. So I like Gardner Minshew. He's a good rookie. He had a good rookie year, solid 21 touchdowns, 6 picks, 91 rating. He made some rookie type mistakes. He held on to the ball too long, not hitting his check downs, things of that nature that can be fixed later on and when he matures in football. So I think he's a good quarterback to try and start a franchise with, honestly, a good franchise quarterback in my eyes. He had one good year. It was solid. He had some weapons. Now it's the rebuilding time for Jacksonville, and I think they'll do fine.
Yeah, me too. I agree 100%. So
100%.
you know what
That's
they say? Great minds think alike.
Right. You are correct. Only 100%? I was thinking you'd agree a little more.
Sorry. 101? I mean, what do you hell you want from me?
That's better. That's better.
Right.
All right, so moving on to Oakland. They made a surprise move in the offseason by picking up Marcus Mariota. I never would have I don't. Maybe it's just to stir up the get Derek Carr to play a little better. I don't know, to get a stick up his ass, a firework up his. I don't know, firework. I think that's what they call it. Firework up his ass. Well, to get him to play a little better.
Hunter, that's what Nathan Peterman's for. Okay, the competitive fire, and Nathan Peterman should light a fire under both their asses. I think it's real. I think it's honestly they don't know who their quarterback is right now. Carr had a good season. He's so conservative. I mean, he
really is.
He's smart, okay? He's playing smart, but he is not a playmaker like he was 2-3 years ago.
Right.
Last year he did not make plays. He could throw the ball well. He had good numbers, I guess, but he did not make any big plays. I don't know that Mariota can do it. Although I've seen what he can do when he is on his game, and he's actually pretty damn good when he's on his game. He also limits turnovers. And obviously he runs a hell of a lot better than Derek Carr and better than most quarterbacks. He's very fast. Maybe they want to throw him in there like the Titans did and try to get people, they're going to run it now. Maybe they're going to do that, kind of like a Taysom Hill situation. I don't know. But I think the quarterback situation is certainly it's not a sure thing right now for the Raiders. And it's also not Oakland anymore, Hunter. Get your head out of your ass.
Shit, yeah, you're right. Las Vegas, my bad. Yeah. I don't like what Tennessee did. They're paying two quarterbacks big money. Well, they weren't, but I don't know. I don't like
one quarterback big money that he doesn't deserve.
I don't like the dual quarterback threat. I don't like that at all. But Derek Carr, you said it right. He's very conservative. I can't speak today. He's very conservative. And he doesn't move the ball down the field effectively. He puts up great numbers. He's a good, accurate quarterback, can hit the targets. But when you need to make big plays, and that's what Las Vegas, they were Oakland last year, was missing last year, honestly. They have Josh Jacobs. They have Darren Waller. Who else do they have at receiver? Tyrell Williams. They have all these good targets.
They have good targets. They have one of the best offensive lines in football.
They do. And that improved greatly over the offseason, by the way. 51 sacks in 2018, and he ended up with 29 in 2019.
That's pretty impressive turnaround.
But it's a big change, big difference, a big change. I want to see more of Derek Carr. I like Derek Carr as a franchise quarterback. I just think he needs to move the ball down the field, take some shots, throw some deep balls, and I think he'll be good. Stop being so conservative. It's hurting your team more than it is helping it.
Right, and he's really accurate. I mean, he can make those big. I mean, he could probably air it out 65 yards accurately. I mean, they have a deep threat, Tyrell Williams. They need to start slinging that football, man. I know, Gruden has that he's a very smart offensive coordinator. He's got the methodical play, but I know he's got some plays in there that Carr can open up on. And if they don't do that, Mariota could easily take his job. As far as the effect that Derek Carr has, it's no better or worse than what Mariota might have. So
when you look at quarterbacks, I think Derek Carr is a lot better, but
he is.
Like you said, Marcus Mariota is going to get in there, and he's just going to fucking sling it. You saw him do it in Tennessee and take big shots with fucking no receiver at all.
Yeah.
Derek Carr, on the other hand, he's getting 70% completion percentage a year.
Or he's getting 4 yards of completion.
Exactly. What's he
No
what's he averaging?
touchdowns.
7.9 is not bad, but still, I mean, with that offense, you have Josh Jacobs to lean on. Great, he was a rookie. Great running back to have. I mean,
Yeah,
they have a great offense. If he can just move the ball down the field effectively, I mean,
yeah.
it's smooth sailing for him. He's got a great team ahead of him.
All they
Just
got to do is get close because that O line and Josh Jacobs, dude. If you're within 5 yards of the end zone, you got a touchdown.
they're getting in it.
If you can get third and close, you got a first down. All he has to do is not. All he has to do is try to move the ball down the field instead of, oh hey, there's a screen. Oh hey, there's a 5 yard curl. I
Yeah.
mean, even Brady will throw it fucking 15 yards down the field every once in a while. I mean,
Mhm.
you got to open up, man.
So I'm going to ask you this: who would you want to take as a starter of the Las Vegas Raiders? Derek Carr or Marcus Mariota? Who would you put as a starter?
I would put Derek Carr, but I would open things up more. We would spread that shit out. I know we have Josh Jacobs, but I want if we're looking at making big plays with our quarterback, I'd spread it out with the receivers they have. I love. Uh, oh man, they got a new tight end. I honestly never heard of him before. Name's drawing a blank, but they had a tight end come out last year. He was awesome.
Darren Waller?
Um, Darren Waller, yeah, and he's very fast for a tight end.
He is.
So they have a vertical threat. He can throw it. I would sling it down the field. I mean, this guy could probably throw for 5,000 yards.
He could.
I would spread the ball around. It's going to obviously take away from Josh Jacobs, but that's kind of where they are right now. I don't think they know what they want to do with their offense. So that's kind of on the GM.
Right. Right. Okay. Yeah, I completely agree. I'd take
So,
Derek Carr. He'd be a lot better in that scheme, I think, anyway. All right. So moving on to our third topic, we have the NFL Power Rankings just got
right.
released on NFL.com by Dan Hanzus, I think is how you say his name.
That
But
sounds good. Yeah.
we're going to be discussing the top 10 picks that he has and then who we want in that top 10. We talked a little before, and there's already a couple teams we want out of this shit. So here we go. Moving on. Number one is obviously the Kansas City Chiefs. Do you like that? Yes or no?
If we're going off season moves, hell no, they hadn't done anything at all. In fact, they actually lost Kendall Fuller, I think was a pretty good defensive back for them. So if anything, they got worse already. But if we're going off of where we left off, then yeah, I mean they're number one. They're the world champs as of right now, and I mean they should any previous world champ, should be expected number one going into the next season. So.
Right.
I'm
I,
okay with them being number one for now.
you're taking the words right out of my mouth every time we do this shit.
Correct.
So yeah, I completely agree. I'm not going to say much more. Chiefs returning champs. They didn't do much in the offseason, but really they didn't need to. They still have the same exact team.
Yeah.
No other team really got that much better to compete with them at the number one spot. So I think they're just fine the way they are. Chiefs number one. Going to number two, we got the 49ers, the NFC champs. Do you like them at number two?
Um, we'll talk about the number two and three here in a moment. As far as improvement from last year, I think they've dropped a tad bit. I know they got a first rounder for Buckner, but God, DeForest Buckner really put. I mean, it was Buckner and then Eric Armstead and or Rick Armstead, however you want to say it, and Bosa. And now you've taken away a key piece of what was an unstoppable D line. So now there's no let's just send four and we'll play coverage in the back.
Right.
Unless you want to replace DeForest Buckner with somebody else. I don't know who. They haven't done it yet. So they got worse in my opinion. There's another team I like to put second, and that's the Ravens. I think they're winning the offseason. I think on paper their defense got even better. And assuming Lamar Jackson improves as he did last year, they got even better. I think the Ravens, honestly, are the second best team in football on paper over the 49ers. That's just me going off moves that have been made so far.
Okay. Yeah, I agree as well. So you just talked about the defensive line. That is a big piece for the 49ers that is not missing per se, but you're missing a big part
It's
of it.
missing a big part of it. Yeah.
Right. And also, to me, the Ravens and 49ers, to flip-flop them is the quarterback game. Honestly, I'm not sold on Lamar Jackson throwing the football. We said it all last year when it came to make him throw the football, they're going to lose games. Turns out in the playoffs, he throws the ball 59 times, gets 13 points out of it. So and then with Jimmy Garoppolo, you have Jimmy who's not really taking many shots down the field, kind of like Derek Carr. Every time I betted against him, he fucked me in the regular season, threw for damn 5 touchdowns, 400 yards, whatever. But when it came down to the playoffs, he didn't do shit. So I honestly can't really pick. I would put the Ravens at number 2 just because they are winning the offseason. Their defense got a hell of a lot better. Offense, they didn't lose shit besides, I think, Marshall Yanda, who retired.
That's a big loss, though.
It is at left guard. I mean, he's been there forever. But I would put Ravens at number 2 just because of that defense got a little better. And I'm still not sold on either quarterback, to be honest with you. I know I was talking a lot of smack to Jimmy Garoppolo. He showed me up. Then he just it died in the playoffs. I didn't see the same Jimmy Garoppolo I saw in the regular season. So I'd put Ravens at number 2, Jimmy at number 3. We got the Saints at number 4. Do you like the Saints at number 4?
If we're doing top 5, I don't like the Saints at number 4. I honestly, and you would love me for this, I think the Buffalo Bills are top 5 material on paper, and I don't see why there isn't any reason they can't be the 4 spot behind the Ravens or the 49ers. So the Saints, to me, look, Drew Brees is great. Their offense is going to be great. I mean, they picked up Emmanuel Sanders. I mean, honestly, it could be the best weapons in all of football, next to maybe Tampa Bay or the Chargers. So offensively, on accident, they're going to get 30 points a game without even trying. But defensively, I'm not sold. I know they picked up Malcolm Jenkins, but he is old. He certainly isn't in his prime anymore. I don't think he's going to have a major impact. The problem with me, and I've said it before, is coaching style. Sean Payton doesn't give a shit about his defense. He does not run that defense. He doesn't know anything about it. He's strictly offense. He calls the plays. So they still aren't focusing on what they need to get them at championship level, and that is an elite defense. So I don't think they're good enough for top 4. I would put the Bills there because, one, Josh Allen can possibly throw 50-50 balls now, and Stephon Diggs probably go up and catch most of them over most cornerbacks in football. He also has John Brown, who can haul ass, so he still has another deep threat there. They still have Beasley, who can get you your slot receiver. I think they need one decent running back, maybe out of the draft. And their offense is going to look almost as good as their defense. So they have improved drastically, and they should be top 5, number 4.
Okay.
So
I don't
kiss my ass.
I don't not like what you said, obviously. But I'm gonna put the Saints still at number 4. I wouldn't replace them. The Bills do look good with their many weapons now that they have on offense, but I still like the Saints. I mean, their offense is killing it. Their defense got a little bit better. I mean, it's still that defense that ultimately loses them playoff games and has lost them all their games in the regular season the past couple of years. But they just added Emmanuel Sanders at receiver, one they did not need, but that still gives Drew Brees another target. And I'm going to go ahead and say it. Drew Brees is probably going to be MVP this year. I mean, I would think he's going to kill it next year with all these weapons he has on offense. A line is still the same offensive line. Alvin Kamara, Latavius Murray. You still got the whole offense. You're just adding a big number 2 receiver. But their defense still lackluster, but I don't think it's that bad to knock them out of that number 4 spot. Do I think they're going to win a Super Bowl? No. But I think they're fine right now at the number 4 spot in the power rankings.
Okay.
Going to number 5, he has the Green Bay Packers at number 5. I
I don't
don't.
know if he's looking at last year or
I don't
what
either.
that's going off of, but I strongly disagree there. As far as who would I put in my top five, um, I don't know if we're going off of pre-draft or what we're looking at right now. If we're looking at right now, I'm going to bump up the Buccaneers to five. If we're looking post-draft, what look if they blow it, it's not going to shock me because I talked about them blowing it last year with Kirk Cousins getting an extension and everything. But the Vikings are set. I mean, they still have a great roster and they have multiple first round picks after that trade for Stephon Diggs. They could be in great position if they make the right moves. On paper, they're easily a top five team. So I would put them top five post draft. As of right now, roster wise, Buccaneers, there's not many people better than them right now. Looking at the roster offensively, all Tom's got to do is just not turn it over. And
That's all you got
they'll
to
be a
do.
top five offense. I mean, their weapons are there. The O line is solid. Defensively, they're just only getting better. Their front seven is arguably better than the 49ers front seven, which I thought was probably the best in football next to the Patriots or something last year. So they're really improving. And if we're going post draft, I'm sure Vikings will make some moves. They'll probably jump back to that fifth spot. But for now, I'll put Tom Brady up there at number five with the Buccaneers. That's not too far off, you think?
No,
I
no,
mean,
that's fine.
it's
That's
just
fine.
assumption on if
Yours is
they.
close to mine. At number five, the Packers just aren't there. Honestly, their
I don't know
defense
where
is
that
still
came from.
really lackluster. Their
Yeah, I don't
offense,
understand.
I mean, you have Devontae Adams, but Aaron Rodgers is that whole entire offense. Their offensive line isn't even that stellar.
No, it's not.
He is that whole entire offense, and when you limit Aaron Rodgers, you cripple that whole entire offense. It's not like the other four teams where they just have piece after piece after piece. I mean, they're hit or miss. Honestly, I'm going to move the Packers down, and I'm going to put the Buffalo Bills in the number five spot. You already
Okay.
said it. I don't really have to go in depth about it. They have plenty of targets now. Josh Allen just does not need to turn the ball over, and he doesn't need
Right.
to be an idiot behind center. Just move the ball down the field, be conservative. You have deep threats in John Brown, Stephon Diggs. Move the ball down the field, and you should be fine without getting any turnovers. Don't be a Jameis. Be methodical, and let's get it done. I think Buffalo would be a good top five in that number five spot. Going to number six, me and you both looked at each other before the show like, what the fuck? Ryan Tannehill and the Tennessee Titans are at number six.
No. This
No.
is where I would put the Saints. I would put the Saints at number six, respectfully. I still don't believe in their defense, but their offense alone makes them top 10 easily. I just felt those other five were better, so I got them number six. I don't know why the Titans are on the top 10, let alone sixth. They they made the wrong move. We talked about it last episode. They franchise tagged probably one of the best running backs in football, and the guy that took their team single handedly to the AFC Championship game last year. And then they give the quarterback that had about 80 yards passing in every playoff game, gave him what, 3, 4 year deal, 100 plus mil.
Yeah.
So they fucked up. They got worse with that alone. I don't know how they're six. I have no
Waste of
idea.
money.
I got the Saints at six.
I don't have the Titans at six. This is where I would put the Vikings. The Vikings at number six. The Titans, it just like I said with the Packers, their whole entire offense is their running back in Derrick Henry. And yes, they
Yep.
have the best, if not a top two offensive line in football.
Yeah.
But it's not the same thing as I said with Dallas and Ezekiel Elliott. Derrick Henry got hit probably on the line of scrimmage, if not behind the line of scrimmage, 70% of the time, 80% of his
Yeah.
runs, and that motherfucker still averaged like 7 yards a damn carry. So that whole entire offense is based on Derrick Henry. Ryan Tannehill, they just found a quarterback that enjoys the play action West Coast style theme. You can find that with a lot of quarterbacks out there, honestly. You're not asking them much. With that run game, I'm not going to say it's easy for a quarterback to succeed in that scheme, but it's definitely not difficult. So I think they could have gotten a lackluster quarterback or even drafted a quarterback and still been just as fine instead of paying Ryan Tannehill all this money and franchise tagging Derrick Henry. For the Vikings at my number 6 spot instead of the Titans, you lost Stephon Diggs, but they still have Adam Thielen. You still have Dalvin Cook. You still
Yep.
have Kyle Rudolph, Kirk Cousins,
Yep.
who puts up numbers and gets the ball down the field. And he's a great
Good
quarterback.
offensive line,
And
solid
offensive
defense.
line is solid. Defense hasn't changed a bit and is still top
Been the
notch.
same shit every year. Yeah, last 5 years.
I would put them at number 6, and hopefully this is the year they actually do something. They make the playoffs every fucking year, but they still
Yeah.
can't get over that hump. The only thing they do is beat the Saints, which I am fine with, and they can keep doing it. But I would like to see them get up there. I think they'll win the division, NFC North. I think they will win that division. But I want to see a little
Okay.
more from the Vikings. But right now, they're at number 6. We can see what they do in the draft. Number 7, you have the Seattle Seahawks, and I'm repeating myself honestly with this one player thing.
I don't understand I don't know what this guy was looking at. Did I miss something? Did the Seahawks
Well,
get
they lost a huge part of their defense in Jadeveon Clowney.
right?
So
And they picked up who exactly?
that's a great question.
Oh,
Nobody.
okay. So they picked up nobody and they lost probably their best defensive player next to Bobby Wagner.
Thank you. Okay.
So no. If anything, they're worse. If anything, they're mid-pack. I'm going to throw a shocker out there for people. The best offense in football, we talked about some good ones. Saints, Buccaneers, Chargers have good weapons. The Atlanta Falcons offense, as of right now, barring any injuries, there are 11 players on either side of the football, people. The Falcons projected starting lineup on offense, 11 former first-round picks. 11. They just picked up Todd Gurley. They still have Julio Jones. They still have Ridley. Matt Ryan can sling the football. They have first-round pick offense. Every single offensive lineman is great. They're first-round picks. They're veterans at this point. They have you could argue the first or second best tight end in football. This offense, if ran properly and obviously limited turnovers, could get 40 points a game realistically. 40 points a game. The Falcon and their defense obviously still needs to improve drastically.
Yep.
But with an offense like that, you got to give them some respect. I'm putting them at 7th. I'll regret it. Week 5, they'll be 0-5, and their defense will give up 50 points a game. But as of right now, God, on paper, man, they look so damn good offensively. I got to put them at 7.
I'm gonna put Tampa Bay at 7. I'm not the Seahawks down. I'm putting Tampa Bay at 7, but I do like where you're going. The only problem I would think with that is they still have the same quarterback. But Cam Newton just passed a physical in Atlanta.
He's won. Wait, what?
Yup. Cam Newton just passed a physical in Atlanta. I swear to God.
Oh man.
But so I won't talk about Atlanta right now. I'm going to put Tampa at 7. You already talked about him a little bit. When you add Tom Brady to a already successful, big-time successful offense, and they don't even run the ball, that's just throwing it. I mean, Jameis Winston led the NFL in passing yards last year.
Right.
He was up there in touchdowns. He was up there in picks. All Tom Brady has to do is
not turn the ball over.
Turn the ball over. Don't throw interceptions, which he doesn't. He doesn't.
He made a career out of not turning the ball over.
Exactly. Just be conservative. I mean, he's going to take his shots because they're going to get open. I mean, to me, Tampa is one of the better teams in football. I think they have a great chance of winning the NFC South right now.
Yeah.
They have a great offense. Their defense is still top notch. The only part of their defense that is still questionable, which was the only downfall of their defense, is that secondary, which I'm pretty sure they're going to bolster up come draft time. At least I would hope. Or they still have time in the free agency to do that. So I would put Tampa at number 7 and a good contender for the NFC South.
I like that. Yeah, if you look at our list, we're for the most part about the same.
It's similar.
Different spots.
Yep, it's similar. So at number 8, he has the Bills at number 8. Who would you put in that spot?
I mean, the Bills being top 10 is reasonable. I put them early because I just think they're going to be great. I put the Browns mainly because they're a victim of terrible coaching and bad ownership.
Mhm.
They have a great roster. Since Baker Mayfield entered the league, so like last year, we all thought, and I did, the Browns could make the playoffs and do something because on paper it's hard not to. They came out with what, 6 wins?
Yeah.
Shitty coaching. I understand that, but it can be improved, and if it works, they can win almost any game. Now, obviously, Miles Garrett's huge. Okay, he's a big part of their defense. We'll see if he's able to play. I don't really remember. I don't know how long his suspension was for. Do you know? Is he able to play this year?
I have no clue.
Okay, if he's able to play, their defense is still damn good, and offensively, come on. I mean, it's you can pretty much you don't have to game plan. You have so many weapons to throw to. You just picked up another great tight end. I mean, you don't really need a game plan. You should go out there, just hand it off, and let Nick Chubb
Yep.
lead the league in rushing.
And when they stop
Okay,
that, just fucking
just
throw
do a
it.
shotgun pass. Tell OBJ to run a 50-yarder. Landry run a little post route, and toss it up there. I mean, on paper, I keep saying that because something in the back of my mind tells me that the Browns are going to blow it, the Falcons are going to blow it, the Vikings are going to blow it. But roster wise, they're top
They're
10.
good. Yeah. I don't
So
blame you.
I got them at 8.
That was good.
Great.
I'm going to throw another shocker out there at my number 8. I'm going to put the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts, I
You
feel,
like the Philip River Colts?
they're going to win that division. They take away Jacoby Brissett, who was a very
Yeah, they are.
conservative quarterback. Not bad. He's not bad at all,
Yeah.
but he's very conservative. And you put in a seasoned quarterback that is successful and has been successful for many years in Philip Rivers. You put him in a scheme that fits for him. The team's already good. I mean, you got T.Y. Hilton. They just got rid of Devin Funches, so I don't know who their number 2 receiver is going to be at the moment. They could always pick up one. Their offensive line's good. They have a good run game in Marlon Mack, and their defense is solid. Hasn't changed a bit. I would put them at number 8 and winning that division in the NFC, AFC South, because God knows what Bill O'Brien's thinking with the Houston Texans, and I think he's being generous at putting them at number 15. But I'm going to put the Colts at 8, and I think they'll do damn good with Philip Rivers there for that 1 year. So.
Yeah, well, that's funny because I put the Colts at 9. If we want to transition to 9, because I did feel they were top 10. I don't obviously Rivers isn't their quarterback of the future,
No,
but he can
they're going to
still
the
play.
playoffs.
He made a lot of mental mistakes last year, but he can still throw the football. It's not like he's
Good.
old. I get it. Tom's old. Breeze is old. Those guys they can still throw the ball accurately and really well. If anything happens, it's mental errors. He made a lot of mental mistakes. We already know he's not very clutch. When it comes to the crunch time, he tends to he tends to throw interceptions almost every time. That's what happened last year.
Yep.
But their roster is still so good. Marlon Mack could be an all-pro. I mean, that guy behind that offensive
Offensive
line,
line. Yeah.
obviously. I mean, their run game is awesome. And there's no guarantee that he's quarterback. I mean, Jacoby Brissett could improve, could beat him out. You never know. He had a decent year last year for a backup. So, and defensively, they're getting better. I love that linebacker. He's going to be one of the best in the league when Bobby Wagner departs and we get a new slate of linebackers.
Yeah.
So they have a really good roster, and I had to put them top 10.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I feel like he is going to start, considering they're paying him $25 million for 1 year.
We'll
But
see.
the only problem with Philip Rivers, and it's been his only problem his whole career, turnovers. He throws a little too many interceptions,
Yeah.
and his clutch. He is not clutch at all. It's either you win big or you're going to lose big.
Yeah.
And when I mean lose big, I'm not talking points. I'm talking it's going to come down to last throw of the game, and he's going to throw a fucking interception. It's going to happen. He
Mm,
does it all the damn
he
time.
does. He did it. He lost so many games from them last year. It's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. My number 9 is going to be the Philadelphia Eagles, and that's this guy's number 9 too. I think they didn't lose much. They got Darius Slay in a trade with the Lions. They have the same receiving core despite Nelson Aguilar moving. They got a good offense, good defense with Malik Jackson. Wait, do they have Malik Jackson? Yeah, they do. So I think their defense got a little bit better. We talked about the signing they had with Javion Hargrave. I can't.
Javon Hargrave.
Javon Hargrave.
He's the highest paid nose guard in the league right now. He's got the strongest
Yes.
legs in football.
Me and you talked about that wasn't a big signing for them money wise, but they did bolster up that 4-3 defense they got going on with him.
Yeah.
So I think the Eagles are probably going to win that division if they don't blow it. Doug Peterson don't blow it. The Cowboys are still up there.
Yeah, the Cowboys are still solid.
But I'm going to put them talent-wise ahead of the Cowboys. Plus, I'm not sold on Mike McCarthy at head coach for the Cowboys either. So Eagles at number 9.
I got Eagles number 10. I had the Cowboys at number 10 when we first started talking about this topic. But when you think about what you've gained and what you've lost, as of right now, the Cowboys have lost more than anything. They lost Byron Jones. They now have a weak secondary. I mean, he was the only reason their secondary had any success at all because he was locked down. He could shut down the team's best receiver and best threat. They don't have that anymore. I don't even know the cornerbacks or any other player on their team. I think they have Heath is a safety back there. That's it. That's all they got. They did improve their front seven, I suppose. They got Gerald McCoy. I think it announced this morning they got Don Terry Poe, so they got a big. They're taking the Panthers big man idea. We'll see how it works out for them. But they've lost more than they've gained, so I had to put this. I put the Eagles in there. And we talked about it last week. I'm telling you, Hargrave is overshadowed by guys like Cameron Hayward. He's probably going to be overshadowed by Fletcher Cox, who's probably the best, if second best, defensive lineman in football. But he can hold up 2 blockers every time. He can get 5-6 sacks as a nose guard, which is impressive. And he can stop the run. That was a huge pickup for him. And like you mentioned, Darius Slay, that's big. That guy is locked down. Playmaking cornerback. We already know he led the league in interceptions a couple years in a row, not just 2-3 years ago.
Right.
So he's a big time player, and that's what we talked about all last year. Was the one weakness they had on their entire team, offense, defense, special teams, was defensive backs.
Yep.
So they had a big pickup, and they are worthy of top 10.
Yeah. Well, my top 10, to finalize it, my 10th place team is, you said it earlier, the Cleveland Browns. The only problem they had last year was coaching. Their defense is still solid. It's mid-pack, but it's not horrible. Their offense is fucking built for success 30 years down the road. I mean, they have every weapon in the fucking book. Their offensive line's still solid too. I'm questionable on the defense a little bit, and I'm also, the big question is the coaching staff, because that is ultimately what fucked them last year.
Yep.
I mean, Baker Mayfield, you can say he had a shit season. He was horrible. Honestly, it was his sophomore year. So sophomore slump's going to happen, but it was also the coaching. The coach set him up for failure with the play calling, with the offensive schemes. It didn't work. So I would put them at number 10. They still got the same team, well, a better team now with Austin Hooper, who they didn't need, but they got him anyway. And I think they are worthy of number 10 just because that coaching staff, I don't know what's going to happen. Who knows? It could be the same shit, and they could be the same Cleveland Browns as they always have been, and they could be shit this year too. I don't know. I don't want to say I hope that happens because there's not a lot of hype going.
It's like I was saying earlier. I'm talking about the Falcons and Browns, or even the Vikings. I say on paper because that's what I'm basing off of. I can't go, oh yeah, the Browns, they're top 10 easily the best, one of the best teams in football, because you could say that last year on paper and look what happened. He got 6 wins.
Well, I think you
So,
definitely need to incorporate coaching when it comes to on paper because coaches play a big fucking part of this damn
yeah,
team.
that's true.
What
Oh, well,
loses the
hell,
Vikings,
Patriots, top 10.
Patriots? What what the Vikings lose in the fucking playoffs every year? I'm gonna say it's because of coaching. Browns coaching, Falcons coaching. Well,
Yeah,
Falcons are defense too. So,
I agree.
but yeah, it's a big part, and that's what you have to incorporate in the on paper thing that we have going on. So. That is our top 10. You can go check out NFL.com and look at it yourself. There's a bunch of big moves. Free agency play a big role in the power rankings, and I agree on some of them. It's actually pretty accurate. This is one of the most accurate ones I've seen in the past
It was
couple of years.
close. It
Yeah.
was close. Yeah.
So they did a good job. Props to him. And yeah, welcome back to the Extra Point. We are here with John Gary. John is a good fan of the Extra Point and a lifelong Carolina Panther fan. How you doing, John?
Pretty good, pretty good. How about y'all?
Doing phenomenal.
Doing
Fantastic.
good. Doing good.
All right, so he wants to talk about Carolina Panthers and the offseason moves that they have done right now. So, John, what is your take on the offseason of the Carolina Panthers?
Well, it's like I was saying a little before the show. I think there's a lot of overreacting going on among the fans. I think everyone is very negative, and I think most of that is honestly emotional because Cam and Luke and Olsen all being gone in one off season. It is pretty rough as far as that goes. But I don't think it's necessarily bad for the team. Luke being gone, obviously, that's terrible, but nothing could have prevented that. But I don't think it's necessarily bad for the team. Moving on from Cam, moving on from Olsen, he was beat up too. Wasn't really playing in all the games. He was still productive, but still. And I feel you think that what's happened is pretty negative. So,
Well, so I wouldn't say it's negative. The Olsen, you did that perfectly. I don't think Olsen was really a key part in the offense anymore.
mm-hmm.
I don't feel good with Ian Thomas being the next guy.
No, I do not either.
But Greg Olsen, that wasn't a big hit to the offense. Luke Kuechly was. That was a horrible thing. What happened with him? I don't like that move. But the Cam Newton move itself, I saw it coming, but I wish it would have been handled differently. So with Cam, I was talking to Nick, I think last week, saying I would have been fine with Cam playing this year. If he does good, great, franchise tag him for another year. If he does good that year, I would have signed him to a 3-year deal. That's 2 years in a row he's performed well. I'm not talking MVP caliber, but I want to see the good Cam that we saw in 2017, I do believe, when he literally carried the offense with Brenton Burson, Devin Funchess, fucking Ray McLeod, I think was another receiver's name. I don't fucking know. And in 2015, he basically carried that offense as well. So if he doesn't, I would have let him play this year. If he doesn't do good this year, just let him walk. That's the end of his contract anyway. Let him walk. And, it would have been the same fucking outcome as what happened just now. He just walked. You asked for a trade. Nobody wanted to give you shit for him, and I saw that coming. Nobody's going to pay second-round pick, first-round pick shit for Cam Newton. So, honestly, you're in the same boat. I would have just let the fucking former MVP, play. Why not?
Well, my thing is, they're bringing in a new coach, new GM, the whole nine. They're really trying to clean house. I think it's just purely business. I realize it's probably emotional since that's probably the greatest quarterback in the franchise's history, I would say.
Yes.
It's emotional, like John said, but I think it's a good business move. If you're going to try to rebuild the franchise, you got to get rid of the quarterback. I don't, like y'all said, I don't think Kuechly, no one wants to get rid of Kuechly, okay? I think any team would have tried to pick him up if he didn't retire. If he was a free agent, that guy is world-class, first-round Hall of Famer. That one kind of sucked. But like y'all mentioned, like Greg Olsen wasn't that effective anymore.
No.
And I'll just be honest from my perspective, Cam is injury-prone. He really is. That's what held him back the last few seasons. I think you go with Bridgewater, who's, obviously also injury-prone. That's a good That's a good pickup, I think, on a rebuilding team. John mentioned that's probably not the go-to guy to get you back in championship form, but he can win some games for you guys the next few years while you allow the team to build up. So,
Okay.
And what I saw from Bridgewater last year, honestly, I think you could make the argument that he has more weapons around him than he did on the Saints. Because besides Michael Thomas and Kamara and Jared Cook, he's a good tight end. Their receiving core was terrible besides Michael Thomas last year.
that's true. They only had one receiver.
What are you
Yeah.
talking about? They have Ted Ginn, no hands Ginn.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, that's a good point.
And, I think McCaffrey is like twice the running back Kamara is. I think he's the best running back in the league.
He is.
And we just signed Robbie Anderson. So I think, honestly,
yeah.
Hunter, you don't like the Robbie Anderson move,
What?
do you?
I don't. Continue
not?
what you were saying. Well, when he's not suspended and he actually plays, he might be a good player on the field. But when he's suspended and he's making a fool of himself, there's no fucking point for him. He's wasting $20 million on their fucking. I guarantee you, he plays 8 games this season. The other 8, he'll probably get suspended for some bullshit.
I bet you in those 8 games, Hunter, he's going to get 100 yards receiving and a touchdown about every single game.
I don't mind the pickup because he has talent, and we need a number 2 receiver because Curtis Samuel, I'm sorry, he's not the number 2 outside guy. He's more of a slot kind of guy.
Yeah.
What I'm concerned on is I don't know what the Panthers are doing. I'm questionable on the coaching staff in general. Teddy Bridgewater, to me, isn't a solid quarterback. To me, he was put into a scheme that is built for success. He's throwing these dink dunk passes 2 yards down the field, and his receiver is making plays. I mean, he only threw the ball down the field maybe like 4 or 5 times in 6, 7 games to Michael Thomas, more than 10 yards down the field. He'll probably do the same thing here. It's a little check downs to McCaffrey. You're going to see the same type of offense, I'm pretty sure. McCaffrey, and that's it. The coaching staff in general, I'm not too sold on. But also, I don't think they're tanking. I don't think the Panthers are tanking. I don't know what the fuck they're doing. They're picking up Teddy Bridgewater. They're picking up P.J. Walker, who's a good, solid backup, and Robbie Anderson. To me, that's not tanking. I don't think it's a win now mode, but they're not going after draft picks. So I don't. John, what do you think they're doing?
I haven't. That's what I'm confused about is what they're doing right now because the team is not bad enough to tank right now, like you said, and honestly, if the defense was heavily improved, which I don't know how much they can really improve it at this point. Hopefully we get Simmons. I think it's Simmons, right?
Yeah.
I'm hoping we pick him up in the draft. If we had a very solid defense, I think we could be a playoff team. The NFC South is it's a lot tougher. It's going to be a lot tougher next year than it has been. Yeah. Atlanta just signing Gurley, which I don't even know really if that means much actually. But Tampa Bay, I would find it hard to believe that Tampa Bay is not going to go to the playoffs. You would just think they are with Brady being there, So I have no idea really what is in store for next season at all. But one thing I do want to touch on with Cam, and Hunter, I want to hear your opinion on this. In his last few years there, it was so frustrating to just watch like a deep pass. And I swear to God, like it was to the point where if he threw it deep, I just like looked away. I was like, oh, okay. Because it would just sail 10 yards over someone's head. And it was getting so frustrating to see that. And that's the biggest reason I am happy we moved on from Cam because he was very inconsistent with his accuracy. Maybe one of the worst in the league as far as accuracy goes.
Yeah.
I don't. Oh yeah. You make a good point. I completely agree on that side. His accuracy was the biggest flaw to Cam to himself, and also the injury prone. The last 2 years he has been hurt. I knew 2 years ago when we started off. What was it?
6-2.
6-2.
Oh God, yeah.
He couldn't throw the ball more than 30 yards, and every single play that they designed and drew up was a play where he could not. He didn't have to throw the ball down the field. So that's
Yeah.
why we just sucked. The defense fell apart. I mean, just like last year, they tried switching up to a 3-4 scheme. That fucking didn't work.
No,
So,
I don't.
but Cam in general, we forgot how good he was back in the 2015, 2017 season. And fucking even before that, I mean, shit. And I don't think he's lost it. He'll go to Atlanta, probably some fucking team that we don't think he's going to go to, especially on our division, kick our ass 2 times a year for the next 4 years, I'm sure. Um, I like Cam. I like him as a person. I like him as a player. He's still MVP talent. And when he is on, and I'm not even kidding, when he is on his game, you can't fucking beat him. The problem is, get him on his fucking game. Which,
Is that?
I mean, it is. Because he hasn't been on it. And plus, he hasn't had the fucking offensive line his whole entire career in Carolina. So no wonder he's getting dinged up. But I see the business side of things moving on from him, rebuilding. I get it. I just wish they would have given him 1 more year just to finish out his contract rather than just cut him early. Because who knows what would have happened? He could have fucking popped up and been the man, especially with the targets we got now. I mean, I don't know.
I was scared to death of him playing and just being hurt again in another season of Kyle Allen. Though I was so scared of that.
That's true. Yeah, Kyle Allen's not the ideal quarterback.
No.
You guys didn't like Kyle Allen? I thought for a young guy, he wasn't the worst out there. I mean,
No,
wasn't
he wasn't the worst. People were very hard on him for a backup that was just thrown into a starting situation like that.
Yeah.
People were really hard on him, but I mean, what did he go 5-7? That's
yeah.
After starting off 5-0.
Yeah.
And that's the defense didn't help him at all in that category.
The team, it felt like the team gave up for sure last season. It was kind of clear to see.
Hopefully the Panthers, I don't know what they're trying to do. It's not a rebuilding season. It's not a tank season. I don't know what the fuck it is.
If you look 3 years from now, of that division, the Panthers are probably better off than anyone else. They're a lot younger. Breeze won't be there in 3 years. Brady won't be there. Matt Ryan, I'm not, their offense is good, but the Falcons
Julio will be old.
Isn't all that. Yeah, Julio, he won't be able to burn people anymore. So in the future, near future, the Panthers should be back on the top of that division. They really should. Bridgewater or not, because I still think Bridgewater, he's pretty solid. I mean, he's a winning quarterback, and I think he's going to win y'all some games. I don't know if he'll make playoffs or win the division now, but he can still win games while you allow Rule and the GM to rebuild things.
I do have this to say, though. I did do some research, and the Panthers have like 12 players on dead cap space right now. So when they clear up next year, dear God in heaven. Marty Ernie's never been a big free agency guy, but damn, the Panthers are going to be loaded with a lot of money next year.
For the first time in forever, it seems.
Oh, yeah.
Like, has that ever happened?
No. It's going to be crazy. I think the Panthers have stuck around the last 20 years, like with, $10 million in cap space. Now I'm talking next year, they might have over 40 or 50. It's going to be insane.
This is a crazy theory.
It's crazy.
Have you heard about Deshaun Watson wants to leave Houston, most likely, why wouldn't he, after this season?
True.
The betting odds are that he'll be in New England, but the betting odds are kind of, I'm sure you would love that, Nick, but the betting odds are kind of awful sometimes. But if we have all that cap space, I would definitely be fine. I think any Panther fan would be fine with kicking Bridgewater to the curb and trying to sign Deshaun Watson.
That'd be a good one.
That would be amazing.
That'd be a good one. That'd be good. I would love that.
Huge.
That's the only thing on that offense now. So, sorry, they got David Johnson now. Oh,
yeah.
And there are 8 other running backs on the roster.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us, John. I appreciate it. You're more than welcome to get back on the show whenever you please.
Yeah, nice coming on.
Thank you. And thank you guys for watching The Extra Point. Tune in next Friday for episode 43, and we'll catch you later.
All right. See ya.